Hello and good day. We're happy to have you here. We are studying a special program with Carroll from the United States. Hello, Lee.
Hello.
And with my colleague, Lavon.
Hello.
Okay. We have a special program today, so stay with us all program. A very interesting, very inspiring program. And first of all, Lee, I want to ask you, who is Kryon? Because there is a lot of viewers that doesn't really know who is Kryon, because you're with this entity for a lot of years. But can you explain who is Kryon?
28 years I have been asked that question so, by everyone. And each time I answer, I have to think about, what am I going to say this time? Because I'm a channeler. And this is different from what most people ever think about spirituality. Who is Kryon? The best answer I have is it's an angelic being. What a funny name.
With a funny name.
An angelic being with a funny name. It feels like a presence of love. That's how it feels.
Okay.
And it always did from the beginning. The best answer I could have in 3D for what humans would understand is angelic, or an angelic being. So we'll keep it at that. That gives us loving information that is never judgmental. It tells us things about the future, gives us choices, and is really instructional.
Okay. In this 28 years, do you feel it's part of you, or is in the background? What do you feel? Do you feel him?
It changes.
Okay.
I have had a ladder, steps of growth. And I could tell you who I was when I started. 5 years after that, 10 years after that, they're different. Just like any spiritual growth of any of us.
So he's also changing?
Oh, yes. There was a time when literally I sat in the chair and in would come Kryon, and there would be some adjustments of me, and then there would be a message, and then the exit. And it was about 8 years ago, I was in the shower, and I had this message that said, "Are you ready for the next step?" And I said,
In the shower?
Yeah, and I said, wait a minute, I thought I was at the top of the ladder, which tells us a lot about who we are. And this was the message that said, why don't you integrate this into yourself? So now it's integrated. I never turn it on, I never turn it off.
And does he let you sleep in the night?
Of course. I get the best sleep I've ever had because of that.
Okay, that's great.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
We have to try it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. Okay. I want to ask you, you've traveled a lot, you're traveling a lot all over the world, many countries. It's very challenging. What drives you? What motivates you to do so, to wake up in the morning every day?
It's something I never thought I would do. I'm a hermit. I grew up as an engineer in a little place, and I loved it there.
Okay.
This whole thing, when it happened, it changed me very, very much. When I started traveling, I realized my family is everywhere. Everywhere I go, including here, the two of you, or whatever, I meet what I call spiritual family. This drives me. It really does. I have the energy for it. I get to go to great places, so why not? And it's perhaps traveling is not the easiest thing you would think.
Yeah, with flight and everything,
I
it's
know,
not easy.
but honestly, it's wherever I go, I am greeted with family, and this keeps me going. It really does. If it wasn't fun, and this didn't happen, I wouldn't do this. Most people don't know how old I am. I'm not going to make you guess.
Okay.
But
It doesn't matter.
I'm 73.
Okay.
Now, that's an age where most people are not doing what I'm doing. And I'm ready for more. And the reason, there's many reasons why I have this energy, but the main reason is because of family.
Okay, so it's very inspiring. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Thank
important.
you. Yeah.
And I want to ask you, you speak in your lectures about that people and patients will give themselves a permission to heal themselves.
Yes.
What do you mean to get a permission to heal yourself? Because there's in planet Earth a lot of sick people that are just waiting to be healed. So just saying a sentence, it's possible to get healed?
Well, I don't know how many people know your story, but this is it. The way this works is that we have an old paradigm. We have an old paradigm of us, our spirituality, our everything, our history. These old paradigms are being broken. One of the ones that you speak of is when something is wrong with you, what do? You go to the doctor.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Most of people.
No one has ever taught you that inside you, you have the ability to do a lot of self-correction, self-healing, maybe even spontaneous remission, which you have had.
Yeah.
You have had a personal healing.
Yeah.
It's maybe why you sit in the chairs interviewing me, because these were your epiphanies of life. So this is what we show and teach. We have the ability to speak to our own bodies as the boss of ourselves and have it listen. There's all kinds of evidence of this, including things like homeopathy, kinesiology, these things which talk to the body and make a difference without medical attention. Now, I believe in good doctors, and there's
Dr. Todd, yeah.
absolutely reasoning. But with the things that we experience from day to day, quite often, including injuries we have, diseases we have, all of this is here and can then be dealt with ourselves. It's a large subject, and so it doesn't have one generic answer. But this is what we teach. That
But it's possible.
it is not
It's
only
possible.
possible, it's done daily. Daily. This is something. So it's a paradigm shift, isn't it? Instead of running to the doctor immediately, you're looking at what is it I can do for myself that will then make the difference.
Okay, right.
So, I know that you recommend people, you recommend healers to tell to their patients, I give full permission
Yes.
to the healing to occur.
And this will better answer his question, the
Yeah.
permission to heal. This is what, if, let me say this, if we're having a dialogue with trillions of DNA cells
Yeah, okay.
that are all belong to us, this is not the paradigm we were taught. We were taught that we live in our head, and everything below our head, we hope it works. We just hope it works all our life,
Yeah.
So now, in order to help us understand the connection that we have, you ask permission. It's almost a trick of your psychology that says, oh, I'm talking to my cells. So I want to have permission for them to listen and to heal. A healer will do the same thing for the same reason to their patient. Do you give permission for this healing? And the patient will go, wow, no one has ever asked me that before. And they will think about it and say, yes. The very fact that you are giving intent to heal yourself, all of your body hears this instantly. It's the first time anybody ever asked that upstairs,
Okay.
And so you are actually then giving your body instructions, and it's giving it back. Healers is the same. There's so many healers that said that was the missing piece, is that everyone goes to a healer, even esoteric people, like a doctor. And they will sit there or lay there with the idea, heal me. Never realizing that it's a two-way street, it's an integration, and so there's got to be permission.
There's got to be permission, and the person itself, the patient, is healing himself.
That's exactly right. This is a Kryon statement. He says healers don't heal. They
guide.
They guide.
They
That's
guide,
right.
Yeah. We are both healers, so
Yes,
we know
so-
what you're
so you
talking
know,
about.
right.
We know
Yeah,
it,
Right.
Okay, I want to ask you about Israel.
Okay.
You've been here, this is your fourth time.
Fourth
here.
time.
Yeah, and in the last 2 years, you've been here twice.
Yes.
Why are you coming so often? Why Israel? I'm very glad about
Okay,
it.
listen,
but
there is we'll talk about this perhaps Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
Something's happened on this planet. Something new has happened on the planet. Period.
Okay.
That's the first statement I want to make. This 2012 precession of the equinoxes has been predicted by the ancients all over this planet.
Mm-hmm.
We are here in a new energy.
Mm-hmm.
This new energy literally centers around Israel.
Okay.
Kryon Book 1, I think, in 1993, stated, as goes Israel, goes the planet.
Yeah.
Meaning that this has to heal. This has to heal. This is the center
The source, yeah.
of what has to. There may be all manner of things on this earth coming together, and you'll find that it's true, but until the situation changes here, this planet will not come together fully. And as evidence of this, if I can speak freely, we've had what? World wars now, and the enemies in the wars have forgiven each other. We're coming together. The enemies, I look at Japan and the United States, we're buying all their products. They're our best friends. With the Germans, they're our best friends. We're doing, and then I look in the Middle East, no. It's like it stayed the same. It's just never come off of that place where it was. And this is why I know that this particular place has an energy that is ready, that's different, that's ready to heal. And it's going to take something revolutionary in thinking, and I believe it's going to come from the young people.
Young generation,
and we can talk about that more. But this is different. It hasn't followed the same paradigm, even as the enemies in war. It has stayed, the situation has remained. Mm-hmm. And this is why I know this is what Kryon was talking about. That's going to make it more difficult, but it's going to happen.
Okay. I want to ask you about Israel some more. You said that Israel is the center of everything. Mm-hmm. So we're living in such a chaotic place. And how can we overcome, what do you suggest? How can we overcome all the challenges we have here? What advice can you give the young generation to do the change, to do the transformation?
You're not going to like it. Message to parents. Okay. Don't teach your children who to hate.
Okay.
Don't teach your children a bad history. Teach them a history that can be corrected. Okay. Don't tell them what has happened. First thing happened when I came to Israel, a guide had a book. And he said, here's what this person did to them, and then that happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this is why we have a situation. And that is what you're also given when you grow up.
Yeah, in schools and everything.
In schools and everything. And so that's the first step, are you going to perpetuate this? Or are you going to literally understand that you've got to start teaching it a little different? Give allowance for things to change. When you talk to your children, you tell them, but things can change now. And you can make the difference. Time is different. Look for opportunities for more compassion, this kind of a thing. Now, the ones who will object to that say, well, the other side is not doing that. Why does one side can't just do that? The others will be always the same. No, they won't. That's the message that we're going to have from them too. Their parents are also in the same situation. Don't teach your children what has happened and why it never will change. So you grow up with the messages, this is the way it is, be careful, and this is who did what to whom and why. And that's what you have. And then it perpetuates itself. Mm-hmm. They have children, they tell them, this got to start somewhere. Yes. However, what's taking place is the children are starting to rebel on their own.
Yeah, they don't want to go to school.
No, they don't.
They don't want to go to the
You
army.
are starting to see this. Yeah. When I was here, I think the second time we had something, I think some of the walls had just gone up, that we had something called Seeds for Peace. It was a thing where the Palestinians and Israelis were actually crawling over the walls at night, risking themselves and meeting together, decide what can we do, what can we do, what can we do. This is where it's going to come from. Young people who say, it's not right to let history guide my future. Because, this is, I want something here. And it's not coming from my parents, it's not coming from the government, so we're going to have to do something. And it's not revolution, it's not going to be something you're going to do with force. It's attitude, it's consciousness. And it goes both ways. You're going to see some leaders coming that are not elders. Mm. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay? They didn't walk through the horrors, and there's plenty of them. I'm aware of that. I really am. There's got to be a time where we get compassionate and just go, why don't we make a change?
Okay.
Both sides.
Yeah.
Your latest book, The New Human,
yes,
speak about the human evolution.
Yes.
And you speak also about bringing heaven to earth.
This is bringing heaven to earth is a metaphor, of course. We're talking about the compassion of the Creator.
Mm.
To bring the compassion of the Creator into the earth.
Into earth, right. It's time. According to what the ancients said, not me, not Kryon, the ancients all around the planet who predicted this 2012 precession of the equinox shift, these are the ancients I'm talking about, said the difference between the old and the new will be human evolution consciousness. We're going to want to live in peace. You're going to grow up wanting this. You're going to want harmony, you're going to want peace, and you'll do whatever to get it in a compassionate way, because you'll start realizing an evolved consciousness will not kill each other.
Okay, so this is the new human?
Yes. And it's going to happen very slowly over generations. It already truly is. If you can see, the futurists and the ones who have written the books in fractal time say that we are way overdue for a major war. They say that human consciousness has produced a war every so many years. We were going to have the big one in the year 2000. We were going to have the Armageddon. This was the prophecy. So much scripture about it, and we didn't have it. Instead, we got this shift in 2012. This is what I teach. There's plenty of references to show what the ancients have said. And if you start looking at what humans have done, there is an emphasis to try to put things together so there won't be a war. So if you ask, we don't live long enough. If you ask your grandparents or your great-grandparents, what was it like? It was so different then than it is now. We have social media, the internet. We're all looking at each other in a way we never did before. This is part of this revolution of consciousness. Kryon said there is a battle going on right now that is between light and dark.
This is the big war.
This is the war.
The third war?
This is the war.
This is
between
the
light
third
and
world.
darkness.
This is the one we expected. Yeah. And Kryon said, get ready for an evil army. It does not have borders. It'll be the first army we've ever had without borders. It's here.
Without mutual language.
Yes, without even a common language. It's here. And we are all fighting it. And the refugees everything that's going on in this battle is about dark and light. Truly, they do not want compassion. They don't want anything to do with love, any of these things. So we are already there. So part of what Kryon's prophecy has been this. He's also in, I forgot what year it was, 13 months before the Pope resigned. He said, you're going to have a new Pope. And this has to do with 1 billion people who are Catholic, and they're going to be changing. And if you haven't seen what the Pope has done lately, he's a wild card. He is really changing that staunch, what do I call the state church in a box, I call it, that the Catholics have. And it's beginning to expand. And he's made some beautiful statements about the Hebrew people, about gays. This is a very, very different Pope. He wants the harmony, even between the belief systems, all of these things. So there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, very reassuring.
Yeah.
Do you have any messages about Israel? Is there a wild card here? Is there going to be a wild card here, maybe?
Unknown. I say that these things take time. The wild card, Kryon says, is up to us.
Okay.
So, for instance, we just got, if I can talk freely?
Yeah.
You're in Israel.
We just got one in the United States.
Yeah.
Trump, he is an absolute wild card. Nobody expected it, what he's doing. It's like taking a big stick and stirring everything up.
Yeah, you don't know what to expect from him.
And this is what may happen here, to get rid of the old paradigms of the way things work. And what it does is it throws out the old in a way that you could never do with voting or politics as usual. And it brings in some things you never thought of, or it forces an issue that nobody ever would touch. So there are some hot buttons, you just don't touch them. And you stay away from them, and everybody talks about them. You get a wild card, and they go, and this goes, and this goes, and this goes. And it could happen, what Kryon has said, be prepared on both sides. What would happen if you had two wild cards?
Okay.
Who then started meeting and going, this is nuts. We got to stop this. Let's do something radical that's benevolent, And you open up certain things, and people go, this is actually working, It's going to take a while. It's going to take a different consciousness. Can I tell you The example that Kryon gave,
Yeah.
the Israelites in the desert, you've heard it before. Why would you march around in a circle for 40 years before you could go to the promised land? You've come right out of Egypt, you're ready to go, you've had hardship to get there, and now, according to the history, 40 years in the desert, in a circle. In a circle. And what Kryon said is because you had to have a generation that did not remember slavery to go into a new energy which they call the promised land. That is what's happening here. We're waiting for an older generation literally to leave that will never change, that will always say this is the way of it, to let another generation come in that didn't experience it, that doesn't have those kinds of feelings as much, that won't necessarily believe all the things of who to hate or not to hate or what. So they're fresh. It's the same exact, you've been through it before.
Yeah. I want to ask you, there is a lot of light workers in
Yes.
Israel, all over the world. They're doing a lot of
Yes.
meditation,
Yes.
workshop, loving, caring.
Yes.
And a lot of them are asking, what will happen? We're doing a lot of work and doing and going every place. And what will happen? What will happen to us? Because some of them are suffering, some of them are like expecting that something big will happen. What will happen, or can happen?
I would say the issue right away is, why would anyone expect anything more than one-on-one? If you have a healer, they're working with somebody and helping them. If you have a teacher like me, I'm working with the people and helping them. The paradigm is that as people are helped, the consciousness starts to raise. And then the people help themselves, more people help. What light workers have always been waiting for is this big shift. It's almost like they're waiting for the light to come on, because they've been working so hard. They've been doing so much. It doesn't work that way. The light doesn't come on. What happens is almost like you have a benevolent feeling that is, you can catch it. I don't want to use the word disease. So it's benevolent, and people start to see, this works. And it starts to raise the consciousness of people. This is what Kryon says is what the evolved human is going to do. How many masters who walked this planet were bad guys?
None.
How many of them did you not want to be with? Whether we're looking at the ancients or the new ones, they had something in common. They were all balanced. They were beautiful. People would follow them. They loved them. They were wise. And this is what Kryon says. This is who we are. We're supposed to then create mastery in us in order for people to see us. They want to be with us. And eventually, at work, it happened to me. Before I left to do Kryon, at work, in my firm, I had an engineer come up to me, and he sat in my office. And I said, why are you here? And he started telling me about his troubles at home. And I said, why are you telling me? And he said, because somehow, Lee, you figured it out. What have you got? I want it. He didn't want a Kryon book. He didn't even know about Kryon. He just had realized that something had happened in me that balanced me. I became easier to work with. Clients were easier to see. Everyday life was easier to be with. Some places are difficult. The cultures are hard. You grow up with many languages and many things, and compassion isn't part of the culture, but it will be, more than you think.
So everything is becoming easier, life easier?
It will. And this is a funny place to talk about it.
In Israel!
In Israel. Because one of the things that we see constantly as from the West, if you don't understand Israelis, you don't understand the process. And part of that is this first, and then this second. So it's almost like, you have to argue a little to come together, and then you're best friends. So it's a more compassionate way of behaving with one another, in order and you see it, and that your children see it, your neighbors see it, and they see things getting done. They don't see the strife, they don't see the worry. You don't die as early, you don't catch the diseases you did before. All of these things are part of a benevolent, balanced attitude. I have more energy in my life right now than I had when I was in my 40s. This comes, in my opinion, from balance. The cells know it, I know it, we're working together. And it's something that I see it in my friends as well. I see it in you too. People are attracted to balance.
Okay, so it's all about balance.
It is.
It's all about, I think, balance and emerging with your divine self, or embracing.
Integration with everything.
Okay.
We're going from a God that's out there to a God that's in here.
Inside, yeah.
And in every single spiritual system, I can name them, whether it's Judaism or Christianity, the God is out there.
Yeah, he's a big
God out there.
Yeah, right.
With the beard, with the
He
white
can
beard.
do everything, but
So,
he's there.
The thing that people will argue, and you'll say, I don't believe it, is that the scripture says in so many ways that we have God inside. Made in his image is a word that we have used and seen, and the image is love. The God doesn't look like a human. The image we have in ourselves is part of the soul, is part of God.
Yeah.
So we are part of the Creator. So if that's the case, why not use it?
Okay, it's like you spoke about the cells, that you can speak to the cells,
Yes, you can.
become a healer of yourself, so
Yeah.
you can become God.
Yes. Have you ever told your story on the camera?
A lot.
Then the people who follow you know. You've done this. Have you ever told your story?
I've told my story.
So you know
Immediate
as well.
remission, yeah.
That's right. So I'm sitting in front of two people who know exactly what I'm talking about. You can work with your cellular structure and heal yourself. It's just one of many things God inside will do.
So we can heal ourselves.
Yes.
But we also can create a reality that is more peaceful, that is
You
more
can-
harmonious.
All right, then let's look at the level of healings that we have. How about healing against fear?
Okay, love against fear.
Healing for anxiety.
Okay.
Healing for worry, forgiveness, anything. Anybody who's done you wrong, you wake up and you think about it. There are people who hold these things in and they're going to die early. I'm telling you. When you start releasing these things, you can do it. These things can be totally released. You have God inside. You work on it, affirmations. People say, these are silly things. I dare you. It will work, definitely. You stop worrying as much. You don't have the anxiety. People don't bother you as much. I used to have, buttons that you couldn't see across my chest.
Okay.
And people will say something about politics, and I will say it back instantly. Buttons that will create response. People will say something to you, you're just at each other. They're gone. They're literally gone. I look at people differently in the street. There's no judgment. I see God in everybody to some degree. It's there. We're all in the same situation. It's just how we look at one another, and that is part of the healing that we speak of.
You said you see God in everybody you look. In India, namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste is I see your divinity.
I see the divine in you,
and
it greets the divine in me.
Yeah, and in Israel,
yes.
Hello is shalom.
Shalom is the
peace.
same.
Peace.
It truly
we want
is.
peace.
Peace.
Peace on you, brother.
So perhaps it's the age of real shalom.
I really hope so.
Or call it the new shalom.
Yeah, it's
or the new paradigm of shalom.
I'm meant for that. Yeah.
It truly is. So it's in all of us. It's there. And it's just what history in an old paradigm, in an old energy has created is going to go away slowly. This was the prediction of the ancients past 2012. An evolution taking place, dark and light starting to battle, and light winning. And it will. And light is the metaphor for higher consciousness and human beings who would never consider war.
And today, who is winning? Right now.
We have 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's real. This is like, it's not going to be a very fast thing. It's not going to be something coming from the sky. It's going to be us working, light workers, compassionate people working this puzzle and seeing results, finally, instead of seeing other things. And there are many who want to take this from us. That's the 1 step backwards. So you will try your best and say, okay, I think it's working. Bam, there'll be something happen. This is where we go, okay, let's go at it again, instead of giving up and saying, my grandfather was right.
Can you give any tips to the light workers? What can help them?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
walking the way?
Kryon gave a metaphor years ago. He said every light worker has been given a ticket for the train. Now the train is a peaceful world. That's the train. Or peace with your heart or with everything. That's the train. And you have the ticket to get on the train. So what we do, since we have the ticket, is run to the train station and wait. And then we go, where is the train? I've got the ticket. And Kryon says that the train of God comes when it's time. And that has to do with human beings and free choice. We all have free choice. So to the light worker, I say, take your ticket and put it in your pocket, because that's where you're going. And relax and be patient.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't go to the train station. Don't tap your toe. Don't complain.
Just relax.
Yeah, don't complain.
Yeah, complaining is the
Yes,
worst.
I know. It's the pastime. My favorite Jewish joke is 2 Jews, 3 opinions. That's mine.
Okay.
Yeah, we know it. We
Yes,
know it
we
very
know.
good. We live
Well,
in
that's
Israel.
what we take to the West.
Sometimes 2 Jews, 3, 4,
3,
20
right,
opinions.
Right. And I tell
2
my
Jewish doctors.
I tell
20
my
opinions,
Western friends, when I was here in the year 2000, I think you had 11 political parties. I don't know how many you have now. That means that whoever wins is not going to be liked by hardly anyone. You know, so there's no chance. These are the things that we're working on. We're all collectively. Some cultures it's easier than others, and this is why Kryon says, this is where it centers, because when it happens here, everyone will take notice.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's a good way to end this interview with these words. But
Thank you for letting me come here. It's a delight to be interviewed and be free to say the things that I say. There will be those who hear this and say, well, I've heard this before. He's from the United States. He doesn't know the situation.
he doesn't know what we are feeling.
He doesn't
here.
know
Yeah.
what we're facing. He doesn't know anything about, because he's an outsider. Kryon is not an outsider. My information says there is hope here, there is hope here, there is hope here.
Beautiful. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for inspiring us. Yeah, and we had a great time. And I wish you good luck and all the best.
Thank you.
And I hope that you will come to Israel again back
course.
soon.
Yeah.
My friend is coming. This is a promotion. Greg Braden.
Okay.
We're friends. He has a lot to say about this very thing.
Okay.
Okay.
We look forward to meet him.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. And for all the viewers, I hope that you had a very great show. Goodbye.
Goodbye.